Joe, how's it going during this second lockdown? How you doing?
Actually, with the online instruction, it's going fairly well. Now, of course, I teach some of the lower levels, junior high, which is seventh and eighth grade, and ninth grade, both of them in social studies. And I find that it's going quite well. I learned a few things last spring when we were locked down
Yeah, that's what I was
that
going to ask.
that made me think, maybe there's ways to make these things easier.
Well, let's actually go back to the spring.
Yeah,
Obviously your first ever lockdown period and first ever online schooling. I'm assuming, or online teaching.
right.
So,
Yeah.
what were some of the like major adjustments you had to make during that period, and like challenges you faced at that time? The-
Well, it's a good question, Dave. I think the biggest challenge right off the bat, of course, is how to do assessments, how to do testing, how to do quizzing, with given the knowledge that you're not standing there with each student, and you can't observe them as they're doing it. And what I have decided on, I started using in the spring, and have kind of tweaked it a little bit now for this particular lockdown, is that for assessments, I have them write 5 paragraph essays about certain topics that we've been talking about. This makes each of their tests different for each student. It's
Mm,
very personal. It's also very obvious if it's not different, if you know what I mean.
yeah.
And that keeps things on the up and up and on the level. And also, what it really helps do, and I've been in contact with many of our other teachers, it's a real cross curricular kind of uh, technique because while I'm not teaching them English, and normally it's an English class where you would learn to write a decent or set up and then write a decent 5 paragraph essay. I've been working hand in glove with their English teacher, and we've been working together so that I'm giving the same kind of instruction on how to
Hmm.
write an essay that they are getting in English class, and this makes for a really cohesive, cross-curricular kind of a thing that actually I believe helps all of us across the board.
Hmm. Yeah, no, that's great. I wasn't aware that you were working closely with them, but that makes sense. And
Yeah.
so this second time around, how are things going? I mean, from both perspectives, from your perspective as a teacher, trying to instruct the students and continue with that quality education online, but also from the student side, do you notice that they're, um, you know, do you find that they are more efficient with online learning and with submitting assignments and whatnot?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, of course, there's always students that are going to struggle with a situation where they're not going to have somebody standing over their shoulder constantly. Because, especially in my age group, I've got seventh, eighth, and ninth graders. They're the youngest that we have in the school. And what helpful online instruction requires is good personal uh, commitment to setting up a structure of when to be in school. And it's so easy the younger you are just to kind of say, "Oh, this means I can just sleep in later, and
Yeah.
I can do everything later. I can do," and so it makes it a little bit difficult. There has been some adjustment for some of the kids. Some of them, of course, are excelling. Absolutely excelling with this type of situation.
Hmm.
For me, though, I think just to give you an idea of what I do, I meet with each of my classes twice a week on Mondays and Fridays live in a Google Meet meeting. We all meet and talk, and a big portion of that is simply social, just to keep them in touch with each other, to make sure that they're
Yeah.
communicating with each other, that they're maintaining their social friendships and things like that, and to see how they're doing it. And of course, take any kind of questions. I make myself available at any time to them through WhatsApp for any kind of questions and personal tutoring.
Hmm.
And then usually 3 to 5 times a week, I record daily for them a lecture video that I then ask them to watch and then assign some written homework, which they turn into me. And then I give them feedback on that. So yeah, I think that it's working out pretty well. I really do. I mean, all things considered, it's obviously not optimal, Dave.
Yeah.
Optimal is definitely in the classroom, face to face learning. But
Hmm.
I think that across the board, our faculty, because I've been in strong conversation with many of them, are doing one bang up job here on making sure that we've got some decent online instruction going on.
Yeah. And one thing I've seen, I'm not teaching myself, but one thing I've seen from just when I've been at the school and I've been visiting some of the teachers is that they're making themselves available, kind of like you were just saying, all the time. Like I'm pretty sure they're answering questions on weekends. So
I know. I know. I am. Or in the evening.
Yeah.
I was watching a Netflix last night, 9, 10 o'clock at night, getting an inquiry about
Yeah.
Mr. What did you want us to do on this particular thing?
Yeah.
And that's not bothersome for me. I can have that completed and answered in 15 seconds, and
Yeah.
it helps work around their schedule.
Sure.
Now, I will say that I can see some advantages from learning from this online instruction that I could take into, once we get back into the brick and mortar classroom. I think that there are some techniques, some methods that I've been learning about here in online instruction that I could continue to use even in brick and mortar classroom. One, of course, would be the fact that we started this at the beginning of the year knowing that there was a great possibility we would be going online. We started putting all of our assignments into Google Classroom every day. This took away the need for an actual pad of paper and pencil where the kids would write down their assignments. They could simply use their device, and they still do. They go on there to find out what their homework is every
So
day.
they moved from the agenda book to, all right, it's all posted online now. So
It's all posted online. It's more or less a digital agenda book is what we've got. And I'll certainly continue doing that. Another thing that's occurred to me is that in the case that if I were to say, God forbid, have to have some sort of outpatient surgery where I might miss classes for a couple of days. If I know this ahead of time, if I can schedule it, I can now go ahead, record lectures for those classes that I might be missing. And then all it will require of the substitute teacher is to simply beam that, bring it up on their computer, beam that, project that up onto the screen in the front of the classroom, and it's pretty much me giving class, even though I might be out of school for a day or two.
And that works great for me as the substitute teacher. The one they often call in is instead, now I can just project you on the screen and support kids the best I can. So as an experienced teacher such as yourself, who's, obviously kind of more used to the old-fashioned way of teaching, and now you find yourself virtually teaching and learning, how to, doing recording lessons and how to upload that, how to use things like what we're using right now, which is Google Chat. How has that adjustment been for you?
You're right, Dave. I'm old, but I don't know that I'm old-fashioned. I will say that as long as computers have been around, I've been using them. I'm happy to use them. I use them for the tools that they supply. I'm happy to learn new things, and it really hasn't been too difficult of an adjustment for me at all. I appreciate the fact that it's there. And when you look at online instruction as a whole, this is a gift, Dave. If we would have had this situation, a pandemic like this 15, 20 years ago, there is no way that we could even continue instruction anywhere close to what we're doing now. It's truly a gift, and it's not only for academic purposes. Like I mentioned before, I make sure that my students have a chance to maintain their social contact with each other too, which is also crucial for kids, especially at that young age. And kids these days, sometimes we look and say, oh, they're in their phones all the time. They're just in their phones. But the fact of the matter is, this allows them to continue their social contact, which we all understand is important, especially in the developing years. So as they have in the past 5 years of their life, they continue through their phones. They're able to continue their socialization, and we can now instruct, and it's been a gift for us. It really has.
And I also can imagine from the perspective of the students that some of them have kind of been thrown into the fire here and maybe don't have these technical skills. Well, when they come out of it, they're going to be more they're going to be more efficient with just using technology in general, I think.
Dave, we proclaim, and rightly so, that we are a college prep school. And if we really are going to prepare our students for college, they need to know how to use these tech tools, because that's what people are doing at the university level. They need to know that. So I find, in a way, this whole thing has been a great lesson for all of us to help our students. Which, when you get right down to it, Dave, that's what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're just trying to help our students.
Yeah. Perfect. Thanks, Joe, for your time. I know you're
Right.
busy. You probably have to go record some lessons or answer some questions.
But yeah, I am going to record a lesson yet. Doesn't it look nice with all these books and everything?
Yeah, it really
Very
adds to the
cool.
whole teacher thing. So you didn't just place all those books there for this interview?
Oh, right over here, I've got a couple of my ukuleles.
Oh,
And I often wear a different hat when I make my videos to keep things a little. Here's the one I wore yesterday. It's got the red beret. It's from a very popular bar on South Bass Island called the Roundhouse. So I'm forever changing. Here's a beanie from the Put-in-Bay School, Put-in-Bay Panthers, that I also sometimes have worn.
I bet the kids appreciate that every time. It's like, oh, I wonder what he's wearing today. I can't wait to tune in.
Exactly. Some of them do and say something.
Yeah.
I imagine all of them are like, something's weird.
Yeah, something's off. Something's off.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Dave, have a great day, brother.
Right on. Thanks a lot for your time, buddy.